Castle Crashers, a game released in 2008 and then re-released and remastered in September 2015. Your typical hack and slash where button mashing and anxiety are the only true keys to success. Well, those two things, and skill points, which can be used to upgrade your character in 4 areas. Strength, which increases your sword damage. Defense, which allows you to take more hits. Magic, which gives you more mana, more magic damage, and more magic moves, so probably the best one if we're all completely honest, and agility, which increases your bow damage, how quickly you can shoot your bow, and how quickly you can move. This one is the most underrated, because by God, the fully upgraded bow can put in work. That said though, let's locate our nearest window and chuck that lodgepot the game out of it, because we're doing this all with 0 skill points. I mean hell, you can read the title, so let's just get into it. Although, one important note is that for an extra element of challenge, we can't visit the blacksmiths. So we just have to pick up the swords as we go. And if we drop a sword that we like, then too damn bad. And you do actually gain a tiny bit of health and damage each time you level up, but it's a minuscule amount, so it doesn't really matter and it's impossible to do without, so oh well. The game starts off with some no-name stormtrooper falling down the stairs at a party. What are we celebrating? Probably Brexit, why not? It's around 2015, so it's around then, who the fuck knows anymore. It's my story, so I can make it make as little sense as possible. The crystal thing then gets stolen from Prince Andrew's throne, and now the objective is made clear. Get that motherfucking crystal back. Now, as I'm fighting these barbarians, I should mention that while I did say the button mashing is the best way to beat the game, that was only kind of true. For the best way to kill enemies in this game is to juggle them, which works better once you've leveled up more and have more combos at your disposal, but the basic gist of it is to keep them in the air for a while and then use your Y attack to slam them to the ground and then continue beating them in the air again. Although for me this is pretty much button mashing because I'm not very good at combos. However, that's what you're supposed to do, just keep alternating X and Y, slam them into the ground and then bring them back up again, over and over and over. You save this guy's life and what does he give you? Absolutely goddamn nothing, and all you get is the most useless shop in the whole game, because you can't even access it directly from the map unlike almost every other shop. Truly amazing, great job, uber poggers. God, it's 2024, what the hell? Well, things certainly seem to have progressed just a touch, as we've gone from a small skirmish in the middle of a castle to hundreds dying every minute as a full-on war has broken out. Not to worry though, as we have miraculously been placed on the one area of the field where barely any fighting is going on compared to the rest. God bless plot armor. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Thief, the most annoying enemy in the whole game, as it's just powerful enough to do enough damage to you that it's dangerous, but not enough for you to actually be worried. But their arrows are the best in the game for some reason, so be prepared to get sniped and get angry. Meet your first boss battle, the Ram Roller. I'm not sure if it's actually called that, but hey, that's what I'm going with because, I mean, look at the bloody thing. And it looks threatening as hell, but it can get steamrolled super easily. Plus, keeping yourself in the air with this fight is so easy. As the enemy is so massive, it's almost hard not to hit the thing. So you can just keep yourself in the air with combos for pretty much the whole fight. Geneva Convention be damned. Due to protagonist logic, I now have complete moral immunity to any of my actions, including but not limited to murdering people. Especially people who are sleeping, as shown in Chapter 14, Section 5 of the main character mantra. First proper boss fight now, or second, I guess? I don't know if you consider the big ram thing a boss. I don't fucking know. Anyway, it's just a big old barbarian. A big old guy. And honestly, he's pretty strong, as big old guys tend to be. Especially with the fact that he spawns in tons of barbarians who can keep you occupied, and then the big guy can get some massive hits in on you. Or at least, he would be quite difficult if he didn't keep on accidentally smacking his own guys on the upside of the head, killing them, and then when they die, they drop healing food which then keeps me alive. So, yeah, that kind of meant he wasn't the most difficult. Eventually, he keeled over, thankfully, and we got some treasure and the sweetest prize of all. A kiss with Onision. Oh god, no one's going to get that reference anymore. Do any of you guys know who Onision is? Oh, I feel so fucking old. Oh my god.
your 50-year-old dad is into 18-year-olds, okay? Your mom is into 18-year-olds. Your grandpa is into 18-year-olds. Your grandma is into 18-year-olds. People who are primed and ready for consensual legal reproduction, yup.
Oh yes, allow me to... Oh, for God's sake. I said allow me to... You know what? Let's just give up trying to be entertaining, shall we? Because evidently the game doesn't want me to be. Anyway, dinosaur go meow. As a rule of thumb, the mounts in this game all suck, and they're only remotely worth using if you don't have skill points. But even then, they're kind of more trouble than they're worth because they make you a massive target for enemies. However, nobody, and I mean nobody, is passing up on the opportunity to ride a massive fuck-off dinosaur, so I don't care if it's a bad military decision, I'm doing it. These are your large enemies, who do more damage and can throw you around, which will severely mess up your attack rhythm unless you're prepared for it. Also, these guys are the only thief, and as far as I can remember, the only enemy who the behemoth bothered to put arrows on their quiver, despite the fact that they are one of the few enemies who don't actually use arrows. So this was certainly an odd decision. Unless I'm misremembering, but I'm pretty sure I'm not. Keeping the big guys at bay using brute force is exceptionally difficult, especially with the low amount of power that we have. Hence, your best bet is to just get a hit in and then run away, and then keep doing that over and over and over again. Also, if they're on their own, then the bow is really useful, as they're quite slow so you can hit them a fair few times, and consistency here is far more important than damage, because as soon as they're on top of you, they'll throw you pretty much immediately, which does a hell of a lot of damage, and especially as we go through the game, that will get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse, as the impact of having no skill points will eat away at our power even more. We had this much health on level 2. I think this challenge might have been a terrible mistake, because you should not be that close to dying on level 2. And if I'm this shit already, I can't imagine how much more shit I'm going to be. New pet baby! And he brings you food from trees. Now, I'm not sure if he only works in levels with trees, or if they just use trees to mean, you know, general background of the world. Either way, it doesn't really matter, as this level has a lot of trees. But hey, just a little thought, because I'm probably never going to use this guy again. Sorry, not sorry, it's a shithead. The game then stops to show you this, which is lovely for a cultured gentleman such as myself. First you saw the game, although I didn't have a choice on whether or not I wanted to take it, as I picked it up, then dropped it as I wanted to check its stats. I then meant to attack something, but accidentally picked up the new sword, and then the old sword flew off the side of the screen. Bloody brilliant. And the sword drops disappear after a little bit, so that was fucking lovely, wasn't it, Brandon? I hope that someone who's watching was called Brandon, because that'd make my day to just scare the trousers off him. That said, though, it does seem to do more damage, so I guess it actually was lovely. Thanks, Brandon. You did alright. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to present to you the most infamous thief stunlock, which can absolutely shred your health to pieces if you aren't careful. Or even if you are careful, to be honest, because once again, the golden rule of Castle Crashers is, thieves are complete bullshit. Oh my god, that is bloody disgusting. Thankfully though, they crumple in about 5 seconds, so they're only really trouble in a large group. Although we haven't seen them in a large group yet, so we should be fine. The bear then gets scared shitless. Hey, classic comedy, like and subscribe. Oh, fuck me. Cut that out. I think we might have just found that large group that we should be fine unless it showed up. Although honestly, you'll be pretty fine in this fight as long as you stay off the ground, whatever you do. Because if you go on the ground for too long and get unlucky, you're pretty much guaranteed to get stun-locked. And now the chase was on, and I just have to put 100% of my concentration into this. That was until you realise that you can just follow where the rest of the deer go and be completely fine. Well, at least in theory, because I somehow managed to mess up this incredibly simple task by standing too close to the door when it got flattened. 10 out of 10 IQ moves, everyone. Well done, me. Meet bats. Hi, bats. No one asked you. If you don't hate them already, you sure as hell will once you try this section, because they just make you stand completely still, and if there's a swarm on top of you, then say hello to standing in one spot for the next fucking hour, wishing for the love of God that your life will just end. And if you get knocked off your boat and can't get back onto it in time, then you're pretty much fucked, as you lose one of your main resources in the game, that being the ability to move as you would actually want to, without having to move at a snail's pace, hoping to God some driftwood rolls by that you can jump back onto. And as a result, you can basically just get bonked on the head by enemy who should so wish to. The only positive being that you can't get attacked by bats, so... You know what, maybe it's actually not that fucking bad, I'll take it. And all of this combined with the thieves trying to no-scope me in the background, eventually I succumbed to the first of many, many deaths. Although, if I covered every single death I incurred in detail, I think we'd be here until the supernova of the sun, so I won't bother doing that. And yes, that does mean the rest of this challenge is absolutely torturous for me. In comparison, I should have been grateful for what I had here. Oh, so that's how Welsh people are made. Good to know. Oh my god, guys, it's the fish cat. Do you get it? Do you get the funny? I think I might have finally found the funny. The funny, you guys! Oh my god! The thing is that this has really, really high defense, so you need to destroy the hairball before it reaches the boat, so the people who are arming the cannon don't get distracted and they can actually load the cannonball, popping a cap into the cat and allowing you to do more damage to it. Also, the shield on this fight is absolutely broken, as you can just push the fish cat back without putting any effort into dodging. It's amazing. Bing bang bong, the cat is gone, and now it's time to go to the new land, where I do absolutely nothing stupid. Oh dear god, it's the furries! But thankfully there was a reward for interacting with Pyrocynical's fanbase, because we got the combo which makes juggling enemies far, 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 far easier. If slightly more unpredictable at times, because I can sometimes forget when this combo exists, so... yeah, but you know what? Variety is the spice of life, and if that gets me killed sometimes, then so be it. Oh, did you think that you were the only one who could use magic? No, try again. Your enemies can use magic too, and they can use special moves that my character can't. Oh boy! Oh, it's a boss fight of just a normal bear. Seems easy enough. Oh, for the mother of God, it's a bear blade! And while you can technically hit it out of Bearblade form, it's so difficult to pull off it ends up just being a nice little accident when it happens, rather than something to actually aim for, because you will get yourself killed if you actually aim for that. But we just about managed to finish them off with a sliver of health remaining, nearly die, take a health potion, and then actually die. So, go me, I guess? Tried again, died again, realised I needed more health potions, got some healing potions, rushed back in, girl bossed my way to the cave, went back to 2018 and played with some slime, although weirdly it seems to have come back recently. God bless humanity, and killed a bat with diarrhea without too much difficulty. If you ignore my near death, but I'm going to, because it's my video, so I'm perfect. Next up, we frolicked through the flower fields, rode a pony, got catapulted through the air, and it was at this point I realised something. Good god, this is way out of my pay grade. I mean, I'm medieval knight going up against goddamn Jedis with lightsabers, all for the sake of a few princesses. Now guys, I understand that they're royalty and all, but come the hell on, I feel like we should just cut our losses at this point rather than fighting the fucking Death Star. Now it's time to crash the wedding of Amberlynn Reed and Angry Joe, as we need to save him from a marriage which could last for a grand total of 4 hours! Oh my... No one's gonna get these references anymore. The script was written like 2 years ago, and they were out of date then. Jesus Christ. We then had a long, arduous journey through the Abbey, smashing through furniture and taking on loads of these lightsaber guys, holding our own with immense skill, talent, and the max amount of healing potions we could hold, and we were ready to go up against the boss. Let's see how it goes! Jesus Christ, he literally hit me so hard he did damage to himself. We got cooked. There we go, brought it back to 2024, yes! I'm in with the kids now. Oh god, maybe don't phrase it like that. So at this point, I'm not entirely sure what was happening. I think I'd been killed so fast that the game genuinely didn't know how to process it, and so let me stay alive for a while. Because my health was at 0, and wouldn't let me heal because, you know, the game thought I was dead. But I kept fighting for a bit, and then right when he had the tiniest amount of health left, we died. Now, if you aren't using your skill points, on this fight you'll need to utilise the shield and then attack when the time is right. And even a slight misstep will result in you dying in about a few seconds. Oh, and did I mention that later in the fight he gets magic attacks that can take you out of your shield? Which is oh so very fun. But after the insanity that is the cannon organs, we finally put down Angry Joe. But then Trisha Paytas came in, has a little cry on the floor, as she is wont to do, and stole Amberlynn Reed out from under our noses. But we were determined for some reason, I'm not entirely sure why, to go and save her. So it was about time that we tenderize the chicken nugget.
I woke up this morning feeling like a chicken nugget.
But first, we meet an old friend, the big troll who chased us near the start of the game. Now the game, I imagine, wants you to use a bow or magic attack here, as they're the only attacks where you're on the wagon that can actually hit the thing. And you can't exactly melee him on the wagon for, well, obvious reasons, but I don't think the developers thought of the attack idea of just constantly moving yourself up and down with combos when you're right next to the troll and not even bothering staying on the wagon, which made this an absolute cakewalk. Also, with how pitiful our bow DPS is with not investing in agility at all, I would have gone absolutely insane if I was forced to use the bow. Next up is another cave and the thieves come back with the lightsaber guys. And let me just say that when you put enemies who you're supposed to stay off the ground to kill with enemies who specifically throw bombs at you to prevent you from going a mile high, will ensure a decisively painful experience. Also, the safest way to kill the slimes while doing a decent bit of damage is to do the combo where you run and press Y or X, as for some reason this counts as 3 attacks only on slimes, and it prevents you from getting jumped by them. Mostly anyway. We got down to the last guy and then... oh god damn it! Several heart attacks later we made it indoors where not much happened besides seeing our first fire demon and this guy who has a bunch of batons on his back. No clue why, and I have no desire to be honest, because if there's one thing I know about masked people and batons, it will not be a good thing. Now, on to the Trisha Paytas boss fight. She has exceptionally tight windows where you can attack as you need to wait for him to bring the knives down, quickly swoop in for a running attack, and then quickly get the hell out of there. Next up, the throwing knives. These are an absolute goddamn pain. For some reason, he decides to just rush up to you super fast and then stick them on you sometimes, ensuring that it's pretty much undodgeable. And this happened over and over again. I swear, 90% of the damage I took was solely because of him pushing me so I couldn't move and then immediately bonking me on the head with a massive fucking sword. So, at this point, I was pretty damn annoyed. So I attempted the palace a few more times, got past his stupid rush mode thing, and then we finally kissed our glorious maiden Anne Boleyn. Next up is my first attempt on Lava World. Although absolutely none of it matters because I had to leave halfway through because, well, I'm amazing at planning and totally didn't have somewhere to go in a few seconds then. So we'll just skip to try 2, shall we? First off, mother of God, the power creep here is absolutely insane, as now the fireballs they shoot do 60 goddamn damage. Also, we get introduced to a brand new thing called sandwiches. I've never heard of them myself, but anyway. They make you big and swole, and they are absolutely useless. Besides, when you need them to progress in levels, because they barely actually increase your DPS, and they make you way slower so you'll just get killed way faster. Although, we do get to punch a rock to death, like that scene in Resident Evil, which is always a lovely sight. We also get to meet skeletons for the first time, who aren't all that difficult because they're all skin and bones, so they're really light and super easy to knock around. The main issue is that they do loads of damage, which is usually, honestly, weirdly fine, as their damage is quite easy to avoid, usually, but because they tend to show up in groups, it means that if you get hit once, they'll all just stun lock you for at least a little bit and demolish your health pool. Next big thing was this dragon boss fight, who I fought absolutely terribly. I swear, I got hit by nearly every single attack that I could have gotten hit by, and I was just absolutely burning through my healing potions by effectively doing nothing but tanking him. But hey, we got the steering wheel, which is lovely. Now, next up it's time to break down the wall and head straight into Andrew Tate's palace. Again, you can tell this was written 2 years ago because no one gives a fuck about Andrew Tate anymore. I've literally got zero clue what he's up to. And as soon as I walked in, I got slapped by a bomb in the face, a great tone setter for sure. And here you fight fences and the most janky looking robots I've ever seen in my life. And after fighting for a long time, we made our way to this goddamn guy. And this was an absolutely horrible experience because you could either stand slightly further backwards from him and shoot him with a bow, dealing a whopping 2 damage per bow shot, which is incredibly slow, or you can use magic, which does 9 damage, but you need to be super close to use it. And this takes incredibly long to grind him down. In fact, just killing him and the 2 friends he's with took over 3 minutes, and 3 minutes of doing pretty much nothing, but not nothing, because if you do nothing you'll get killed in 5 seconds, so you always have to be alert, but doing almost nothing is absolute torture. I think that's basically the same thing as Chinese water torture, actually. But after spending absolutely ages grinding him down, I went to fight Andrew Tate and his weird dragon robot, and it went absolutely terribly, all because of these stupid fucking fingers. And it's like, the worst thing is that they have these really weird mechanics where the hits don't register some of the time, I'm not too sure why, and then, once they've hit you, they'll knock you back into the red area, which deals even more damage. But not only do you have to dodge the fingers, which on their own will be genuinely quite difficult, but there is a grand total of 9 different things which you must keep track of and dodge in this fight, and as you can imagine, I got waffle stomped in about 5 seconds. Can't wait to fight that annoying guy again! Yay! Ugh. But on the second time, it went quite well as we timed the fingers quite well. Some of the time. And we finished off the gun with barely any health remaining, and then it was time to finally ban Andrew Tate from Twitter. Oh my god, that reveals the age more than anything else. It wasn't called X back then, oh my god! And Andrew Tate's probably back on Twitter now, right? Because Elon Musk took it over. Who the fuck knows anymore? Who cares? Who cares, man? Sound like a proper stoner now. We then got the compass from the blacksmith's house, and it was time to set sail on a boat while fighting some Japanese pirate ninjas. They weren't all that difficult, they were just really, really annoying. But we finally land the goddamn thing, and we're at the point where we can use the spade! Yay! Thank God. But you can use it on these little X's on the ground to get you pets, swords, money, and food. Now, this would be a good level if it wasn't for the fact that there are these annoying bouncy bug things which you have to shoot with your bow, because if you go in to try and kill them, and oops, your helmet is now tonsil deep in a dung beetle. Amazing. Honestly, I'm not even going to go into when something takes a long time anymore, because it has stopped being abnormal now, and now just everything takes about 6 years to kill. And also this level is so bloody boring, it's just the same background music with the same few enemy encounter styles, but thankfully we get abducted, which raises my interest level from bored to tears back up to just boring. Look, I've been playing Castle Crashers for multiple hours at this point, it's pretty goddamn hard not to be bored. But on the alien mothership, it's so easy to stay alive because the aliens die in a single hit. Even someone else's body hitting them is enough for them to crumple. So you could probably close your eyes and win this bit after enough button mashing. Oh no! There's a big alien! Will this be our fun and engaging boss fight? Oh, he's just gonna punch the control panel and fuck off. Okay, sure. Oh wait, no, it's going to self-destruct in a minute. our character knows somehow, despite there not being a timer anywhere besides on screen. But regardless, we can get out with just enough time to spare. Beautiful! In this next section, the game wants you to do the fun option of chasing this guy through the desert, and you get this little zebra pet for chasing him down in time. Now, we could do that, or we could stop every 5 seconds digging up the dig sites. I'm sure you can guess which one I did. That's right, the boring option, because I'm a min-maxy bastard. Although we didn't actually need a new pet, because I wanted to stick with the giraffe who gives us more XP, just so that we could get those tiny little level up buffs a little more often. And it ended up working out because we got a sausage sword and this weird sword that looks like someone ripped out part of a fence. Amazing! I'm doing jazz hands right now, but you can't see obviously. Next up, it's time for the most annoying section of the game, as you have first to face off against one incredibly tanky brute, and then afterwards it's 2 even more larger and even more tankier brutes. So at this point, I took a note out of Donald Trump's playbook, and
I'm gonna bomb the shit out of them.
Although it didn't work out the first time, we grinded them down the end. Fought some more Beyblades on the roof, and did possibly some red card worthy behaviour in order to beat Alibaba and his 3 thieves. You know, budget cuts and all that. In volleyball to get a map? Wait, why did we need this again? Well, we needed to break into the lair of the Medusa Pokemon. But to do that, we needed to acquire the horn. So we had to venture into the marsh to get it. So here, as it turns out, we aren't actually alone, because we have some smooth-brained villager friends. Because despite having been turned, I'll say politely a bit dim from watching too much Belle Delphine, they're still useful meat sacks. Oh, nope, never mind, because they've decided to fuck off as soon as the fight actually gets difficult, with 4 brutes showing up at once because they move faster than normal brutes, so they're even worse. My best bet was to just tank them and spam all of my healing potions on them. I genuinely don't think that there's a single hope for anyone here trying to kill them safely from a long range. Although if you did have high agility you probably could, but of course, no skill points! God, I should work in advertising. Are you bored yet? Because I sure as hell am. But anyway, let's kill these enemies because they're green now! Wow, wow, wee wah! I've never felt more alive! Next up, Sweet Corn Boss. Kinda fun, kinda not. He just keeps on blocking you over and over and over and over and over and over and over again and disrupting you from killing it, so it's just designed to be super bloody annoying, and never mind. I guess it can kill you. Serves you out for being overconfident, I guess. Okay, we've finally got the horn! Now let's go get some revenge for It's a Gundam. Now, I assumed that here the enemies would be glued to their gaming chairs with enough zit juice to kill a horse, but as it turns out, they're some of the most mobile ones in the game, and they step away from you to try and stop you from hitting them and suddenly lunging forwards. And considering the fact that you're wading through pizza grease, it's really hard to catch up to them. Oh, also the fish can go... which is always lovely, isn't it? We then found Pokemon in her changing room. Ah, careful, don't look at her, you'll turn to stone! If she wasn't such a bad person, I would feel fucking awful. But she is, so I don't. In this fight though, using your shield is an absolute must, and failing to do so will mean that you get absolutely obliterated. And I wouldn't recommend trying to run away from her, as you'll just get killed by all of her other attacks, so staying close is definitely the better option. And so with barely any health left, we took down the Wicked Twitch of the West. Now it's time for the bane of my existence. In the night level, or aka everyone here has way too much health and does 64 damage from a single bone shot. I should really consider becoming an alcoholic right about now. Now, the first part is just 3 sections of 2 normal-sized guys and 1 brute, and it is incredibly boring, but it's so boring and so slow that you just keep getting killed because your brain legitimately starts to fall asleep, and then you get waffle stomped immediately, so you just have to go so goddamn slowly and try your hardest not to pass out. Next up is the ladder section with stun locking abound. Though this is thankfully way easier than the section before. And now we move on to the icy biome. Snowballs, chicken, meat sticks, stupid jumping puzzle, and Magikarp. Yep, this level was honestly quite refreshingly easy. Though I can tell you what, the sheer nightmare diesel of this next level means that I get my suffering anyway. Yay! Now it's time for the final section where we have to kill the lads. Them being the weird art student Burnt Trishapatus, our dark little boy, and the butthole staff wizard who started this whole game off. So, let's get into it, shall we? So this section, I should mention, works a little weirdly, because once you've got through the intro, you fight in a little gauntlet of all the bosses with 4 doors, and behind each door is a boss. You know, very strange concept, I'm sure. And you have to fight them one after the other. However, if you die fighting one of the bosses, their door stays open. For example, if I died fighting boss number 3, I could run back through the intro again and then run straight into fighting number 3 without having to beat 1 and 2 again. Unless you quit the game. If you quit the game, then you have to kill 1 and 2 and then go back to 3. This will be depressingly relevant. So, yeah. Let's get into it, shall we? Boss 1, the painter guy, summons in a ton of paint creatures to kill you, who have a bunch of health. But if they hit you, they instantly detonate and murk your health. So you gotta keep yourself on your tippy toes, just in case. Thankfully though, this guy isn't all too difficult as long as you stay patient. Something incredibly difficult for me. Though it does kill me in some of the later tries of the boss when I've had to leave the game and then redo the fight because I got impatient. But hey, this time we beat them first try, so let's go! Burnt Trishapatus is weirdly way easier than the version of her that was way further back in the game, because there's no jank terrain to mess with the boss fight, so you can just get yourself into a rhythm and vibe. Wow, this is all going so well, I reckon we'll have no trouble at all. Oh god no, why? What circle of hell am I in? The Necromancer is absolute cancer. The enemies they spawn in move so quickly, it's really easily to get stun locked nearly instantly. And the brute enemies, my god, the brute enemies. They're so fast, you can barely use the typical no skill point strat of just slowly whittling them down from afar, because they'll just bum rush you and destroy your very soul. Like, look at how fast I got killed in attempt 1. However, there was one strategy I utilised very slightly up to this point in the full moon level. That being the bombas. Because they can deal far higher rates of damage to the big guys, because there's simply no way in hell we could hope to kill them using the normal bomb-free way to do things. And I got wooled over and over again. But still, the bombers have earned themselves a place in my strat. They do work pretty effectively, even if they aren't, you know, the solution. In fact, I failed so many times, I had to farm the barbarian boss for money just to be able to resupply ourselves because we failed that many times, which was definitely not a hit to my pride. I then had a thought which was definitely not a cope. Maybe my sword was the problem. So I thought I could either farm the industrial area to get the blue mace, which is absolutely busted, or go to the full moon area and get the hidden key sword and then use that to get the sword in the shed. Then got critted by a fat 238 damage on my first attempt at the full moon area and immediately died. So, screw that plan. I then had a crisis of faith after so much pain. I broke the rule. I went to the blacksmith. I stared at the blue mace and the necromancer sword longingly with lust in my soul. But I didn't actually pick them up. I just wanted to motivate myself. I instead picked the lance sword. However, I have good reason for why I allowed myself to go to the blacksmith here. It's because the lance sword is ordinarily something you buy from the snow area shop. However, you can't actually rebuy swords you already have on that account. So I couldn't legitimately get it, even if I wanted to, even though it's a part of normal game progression. So in my opinion, this was justified, as there was no possible way I could have gotten this sword normally, and also the intent of the rule was just to prevent me from using OP swords that I didn't earn, like the blue mace. So I think this is, fair enough, because this sword is very average. I just wanted to sort of change my build a little bit. I hope you guys accept that, but ultimately, the no blacksmith thing was just kind of an extra challenge tacked on to the original challenge of no skill points. So, I'm going to allow it. I'm going to allow it for me. If you don't, fair enough, I also had another devious idea, that being to include sandwiches in my supplies. And yeah, I know, I dogged on them earlier, but we kind of need them to be the same size as the brutes so we don't get thrown around and obliterated. Also, they can make juggling much easier, as you could just start swinging your fist, which pulls the enemies up and does a bunch of damage to them. Especially in such a hectic environment, I can't really afford to focus on combos as much. I just need to try staying alive, so I'm going to give them a crack. And guess what? I kept on failing over and over and over anyway. So much so that I eventually stopped saving a whole bunch of the recordings, because they were just filled with pretty much nothing besides me getting railed by the Necromancer summons over and over and over again. Until, eventually, something changed. A chink in their armour emerged, some may say, as we managed to whittle them down to just 3 last enemies. I was starting to feel a glimmer of hope, and then the last brute fell. Oh dear God, this might be it. I was kind of terrified at this point of accidentally cocking it up and getting overconfident, but I'll be honest, I was so excited when this finally started happening. Then, the penultimate enemy petered out. And lastly, the final fucking guy died! Thankfully, the Necromancer himself is fairly easy as long as you play pretty conservatively and you just whittle them down slowly. And also, you need to be able to recover quickly when they play the Skull Hands, which knocks you out from under your block. But honestly, he was pretty chill. And the sword came crumbling down. Thank Christ! I highly doubt this video will accurately portray the sheer joy I felt, because I got stuck on this part for so long I gave up for ages, and this literally delayed the video for about a solid year because I was getting so thoroughly smooshed I just gave up for a while. So, just know, I think God cashed my lucky chips in from my whole life, past and future, and you know what? I couldn't be happier. Because we're done with this horrible guy. Now, thankfully, the final boss fight is actually a separate checkpoint on the map. So I didn't need to fight through the castle intro yet again, thank fuck. So now, let's finish this. Phase 1 is just breaking a bunch of crystals. This one is low-key super easy. The only time you'll get hit here is if you're impatient. Phase 2, he finally gets off his fat ass and puts a little bubble around himself, where, when the colour changes, his attack style changes, and the type of attack you can hit him with changes, either physical attacks or magic attacks, depending on the colour. Phase 3, he loads up his deviant art and goes full on #inflation core and just sort of flies around. This boss is unironically way easier than every boss before him in the gauntlet, and to be honest, it's kind of insane how this is the final boss, but you know what? I don't even care anymore. And then finally, this is all over, we've done it, we finally won. Okay. The Spidey phase is probably the hardest one, as I'll be honest, I have no real clue how to fight it. But even then, it's not all too hard, I just didn't have all 5 of the healing potions before the fight, as I bum rushed straight into it after the Necromancer. So yeah, I got murked, but I ran my ass straight back in there when I got some more potions. After farming the Barbarian boss for money again, naturally, because we're broke! So, then we stormed back in, as this one old boy is one to do, killed Spider-Man, killed his weird deviant art form yet again, then he turned into a weird swordy Beyblade that shoots meteorites. And this phase took so goddamn long. But he eventually petered out. And we won for real this time! Let's go! I also took his sword just to prove he's bitch made, took the final princess home and let the credits wash over us. So we let the orange guy kiss his princess as a reward for all his hard work this whole time. And while the final princess is supposed to be a joke because, haha, she's a clown, the game devs unfortunately could not predict the popularity of the Clussy. So hey, I mean, this guy's as happy as can be, and you know what? I'm bloody happy for him. Thanks so much for watching, all of you beautiful, beautiful people, and I hope to make more videos soon. Ciao ciao!